so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you both. How are you both feeling?
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
Nice to meet you.
Interesting, yeah.
Amazing. Well, Charlie, I'm very interested to know so much about you today. Of course, you are the founder of Pimlico Plumbers. So it's in its 4th decade. Tell me what that has been like, building that.
Yeah, well, I started it back in 1979 and then sold it in 2022.
Right.
And, it's 41 years. And so it's been a lifetime, really, of working there and building it up. And, it's quite a big thing to sell it at the end, quite sort of nerve-wracking. But, I think, it was a good decision. It was quite a good offer that was difficult to turn down. So it's been a lifetime of work.
What would you say were the hardest years then? I know it's been a long time, but can you pinpoint?
Yeah, well, the hardest years undoubtedly are when you first start.
Right.
No two ways about that. And then I think I went through 2 to 3 recessions. I think it was 3.
Yes.
And in one recession, the very first one in the late 80s, early 90s, we nearly went bust there.
Okay.
And, nearly lost my house and the business and everything I had, really. So undoubtedly that was the worst time during the business. And then, then there was another recession, I think in the 2000 and something early, and but we sailed through that one, because, we really, really nearly just went under on the first one. So they're undoubtedly the downsides of it is going bust. There's nothing worse than losing your house and bailiff's going to come in and take everything away, and, something you tried to build up is all of a sudden not successful. And the highlights are, when we reached a turnover of 50 mil.
Yeah. And what year was that?
That was 2021, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, when we sold it, we got to 50 mil, which is amazing considering when we nearly went bust, we was just turning over 1 mil.
Wow, and that was what year?
That was around about 91, 92 when the recession came.
Okay.
And we went to, I changed accountants, I changed everybody at the time, and we went and see 2 liquidators, and the first liquidator said, you owe too much money to the tax man and suppliers.
Really?
You need to go bust. And then we went for a second opinion. My accountant said, let's get a second opinion.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So when you got that first, you have to do this, what was it that made you think, actually, no, I'm not going to listen to that, I need a second opinion?
Well, it was my new accountant, and he just said, look, I'm not happy with this. He said, we got a turnover of £1 million. I feel there's something here.
There's something, yeah, absolutely.
And we went and see a second liquidator,
right,
and he had a different tone on it altogether. He said, well, look, if you go bust, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your business, you lose all your money.
Right, because you'd given everything to it.
Yeah, well, basically, because guarantees for banks and, I took loans out.
Yeah.
And he said, so my suggestion is you fight for it.
Right.
And it was an hard fight. I mean, it takes quite a few years, but if you do get through that, you learn that you come out tougher the other side.
Absolutely.
It makes you a better business person.
Absolutely.
And so it's a good learning experience, even though it was, not good at the time, sleepless nights and, worrying where you're going to get the money from, and, banks like calling in sort of overdrafts and loans, and, they're like, they like want to lend you an umbrella as long as it's not raining, kind of thing. So that was the worst years, and undoubtedly the highlights was when we reached a 50 mil turnover, and we was employing 450 staff.
People, right?
We had 270 vans on the road. Wow. We was pretty much dominating London, really.
Yes.
So that was a great highlight, and then I got an OBE for plumbing services to do with apprentices. Met King Charles now, so he was the one give us the OBE. So that's undoubtedly the highlights of the business.
Absolutely.
And I would say in actually selling is a big thing, because I think it fetched over 140 odd mil, and to start something off from a van or an apprentice, you're doing plumbing, and then to sell it at the end, I don't think that can be beat, if you know what I mean. That's like the ultimate, that's what people dream about.
Yeah. During that time when, you know, you'd given everything to your business and you felt like you were going to lose it all, what was it that kept you going still? And how did you even come out of a period like that? You know, you did say that it wasn't kind of overnight, it took years, but what motivated you to keep going over those years, and how did you manage to come out with, you know, all the banks that probably weren't willing to give you, you know, more funding and things like that? What did you do?
Yeah, you're right. The banks certainly didn't want to give us no more money. They was taking the money back, and that's what caused the problem.
Right.
They weren't happy with the equity that they lent us on the property. I think what kept me going at the time was, you know, I had 4 children and family, and a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
And you know, the advice from the liquidator said, you're going to lose everything, you might as well fight for it.
Yeah.
And you know, I used to box, and you know, in boxing you never give in kind of thing, because you lose. So I think it was the actual boxing training and attitude that was sort of saying, you know, you don't get nothing for coming second in boxing.
Absolutely.
And you know, you've got to win at all costs, and never give up kind of thing. So I think that came through, and eventually it paid off. I mean, it took a long time, and I remember, you know, my bookkeeper saying that, you know, to get through this takes 4 or 5 years, but if you do get through it, you're going to be such a much stronger businessman.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened. You get through it. I mean, obviously, load of sleepless nights and worrying, and then eventually, you know, I paid the bank off. I mean, that was the biggest problem. I borrowed £250,000 off them, and you know, they was just a nightmare wanting it back. And I bought a property for us to move into,
Right.
for the head office kind of thing, and they valued it at $250,000 to lend me it, and then I ripped it apart to redo it, and then they valued it at only 50, so that was uncomfortable. And they put so much pressure on, but you know, I managed to pay them back. That's the important thing. You know what I mean? Get rid of them.
Yeah.
And so now, you know, once I got rid of them, you know, I'm not a great lover of banks. I put money in it and I take money out. I don't do nothing else with them.
Yeah.
With any successful business, I think there's casualties on the way. You know, I've had a couple of marriages. You know, you get a bit of ill health.
Yeah.
You know, you nearly lose your house. A lot of sleepless nights. I mean, successful business is great, but when it ain't going well, there's definitely casualty. It could be you lose many friends, you lose family.
Absolutely. And I think you've got to just be prepared for whatever you lose on the way, right?
Yeah, but that's you know, they don't tell you that in sort of when you see it, you don't look at it like that, you know. And then of course, the more successful you get, you tend to lose friends. You know, they've got silly comments and remarks.
Yeah.
But you also gain a lot of genuine people, because you know, there's a lot of people that like success, but unfortunately we're a nation of, you know, we do knock a lot of successful people.
Yes, that's true.
But you know, there's more people that praise it than knock it. But believe me, it's a tough road, that's for sure.
I can imagine. And what you said there is very, very true. No one tells you, you know, the nitty gritty. No one tells you what success really looks like or what comes with it. At that time, you said that, you know, the business was turning over $1 million. So I'm sure that was a milestone for the business. But then at the same time, you were kind of also being told, actually, no, although it's a milestone, your business is not doing well. What was that like then?
Well, it's heartbreaking, to be honest. I mean, you know, you always, when you start a business off and you get to your first turnover of $1 million, as you say, a milestone.
Yeah.
And we had got to that, so you think you're running a successful business. Yeah. But unfortunately, what was messing the business up was we allowed, you know, people not to pay us, and we allowed credit to a lot of our customers.
Right.
And that's the worst thing you can do, because most businesses go out of business because somebody else owes you money. It's not your business that's gone wrong, it's people owing you. And, you know, we had, you know, at the time, £80,000 owing to us from customers. And that was the thing that was destroying us, giving them credit. And then, you know, when you know, we had to turn it all around, we decided to do payment on completion, you know, and that was the best thing we ever done, which meant we had a great cash flow, and Nobody owed us any money. And I say most business go out because someone owes you money rather than what you're doing wrong. So by changing it onto payment on completion, everybody's telling me it won't work, but it did work and it does work. And that was it. That was the biggest change. And then, to be honest, you have to smarten or sharpen up in business, and you get rid of all the dead wood, you get rid of all the pests, and you start getting good people, and and that's what happened.
Absolutely. And tell me about the next milestone. So you've gotten out of debt, or you've gotten over that liquidation period, and now the business is running again. What is the next financial milestone for the business then, and how quickly after, coming out of that hole, do you make it?
Well, it's definitely 3 to 4 years, maybe longer, of just treading water.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you start seeing the change, that you got money in the bank and things are going well, and you're buying more new vans. And I'm very I think you have to be brave in business. You have to take chances. Yeah. And I'm a great one for putting vans on the road, and marketing and PR for me is the PR made our company in the end. We
really?
Yeah, we had great PR.
Okay.
And
who did your PR?
Sorry?
Who did your PR?
Well, it started off with a company that I'm still with now called Recognition.
Oh, really?
And what a great name for a PR company.
Absolutely.
And, I got introduced to them. What had happened was the building I bought that the bank was claiming back, we'd done it up, we moved into it.
Right.
And then that was in 1992 or something.
Okay.
And then in 2000, I bought this 30,000 square foot building in Lambeth, where we stayed as our head office, and we had everything in-house, mechanics, stores, recruitment, accounts, PR, HR, canteen, uniform department, everything was in 30,000 square foot building, and we grew into the building. And again, it was a very brave thing to do. Because it was open for open bids, and I managed to put a few quid extra and get the building, and we grew into it. So that meant that a lot of people do it. You get big and then you get a bigger building. We done it the other way. We were small, but said, right, let's get more people, kind of thing, for this massive building. And then we got introduced to PR. And then it changed it. It just changed things, because you can be the best plumbing company in the world, but if nobody don't know about it, it's no point,
Exactly.
And and then I took on a marketing manager about 30 odd years ago. It was, or maybe longer now, and he said to me, look, you need to get recognition, and if it happens to be for the right reason, then that's it. And then I think it was the most famous plumbing company in the world, the most recognised in the world, and had many documentaries, telly, papers, and that's still continuing today. So as we are here.
Yeah, absolutely. You are, of course, very, very renowned in the UK, and as you said, many other countries know of you. Did you ever want to expand into other countries, and why didn't that happen?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I had many family members at the business. The ones that talked to me were still there.
Right.
And yes, we had offers to open up in France. We had offers in Dubai to open up, and that's probably one of the reasons I sold it at the end, because we was at the stage we needed to go bigger.
Yeah.
We needed to go either national and then international.
Right.
And I had to work out, do I want to do another 4 or 5 years at this? Even though my son was CEO and daughters and other family members were working there, I just wasn't sure. I think the business needed to go forward. And, we had this big offer from Dubai, and we was going to open up in Dubai.
Right.
And I just had to weigh it up and, do I really want to do another 5 years, or do I want to be enjoying my life? And it was a big decision, and I felt at the time that maybe I was holding the business back, and my family had been there for a long time, and I said, look, I think the answer is to sell it, and none of you got to work again, and you'll all get something out of it.
Right.
So I think at the time it was the right decision to sell the business. Right. I now think it was the wrong decision, because
yes, I did read that you said that was one of the biggest mistakes.
Yeah, my biggest mistake was selling it because, you know, it had so much potential,
Right.
and people are calling me all the time to open up again, and you know, they miss that type of business, and you know, it's now run by an American company, and you know, I don't really know how well they're doing or not doing, but it hasn't got the family personal touch, and so basically, I'm planning to open up a service company again when my get out of jail clause is over. We have a 3-year clause, and you know we'll stick to that. But it'll be a family business again.
Yeah.
And you know, my some members of my family are already planning it now, and yeah.
I can see her over here, like, you know.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to be involved, but I just feel that 40 odd years of knowledge about it.
Absolutely.
And when you've had it, when you know, believe me, when you've nearly bust and you pull through it, you become a very, very sort of assertive business person.
Yeah.
And I feel, you know, my grandsons and sons and children that want to go again on it, and I just feel that the amount of knowledge that I've got on it is priceless.
So you still have a 10% stake in the business, that's correct?
Yeah, my oldest son did, who was CEO, but you know, that wasn't working out between them, so he decided to come away also.
Now, Raquel, coming over to you. I'll be back to you, Charlie.
Don't leave me out of this.
So Raquel, tell us about you. I've read a lot about you and, you know, your inspirations for getting into music. Tell me, you know, who inspired you as a young girl and why you saw yourself succeeding in the industry.
Oh, lordy. So we're talking 90s now. So I was the little girl that used to want to be a pop star. I wrote a letter to top of the Pops once asking them to make me a pop star. I remember that.
Really?
I think that was probably like 1995 or something. But I used to be the girl dancing to my little stereo in the garden, pretending I was Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and all the big diva gospel singers. And I think that's how I got into soul, and then I went into R&B, and throughout my life I've just kind of...
Really? R&B?
You know, yeah.
Oh.
Alicia Keys. I love Alicia Keys. I remember listening to that album, Diary of Alicia Keys, like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was a 90s girl. I did, you know, love like the bands like Ice Club 7 and who's the other band? S Club 7 and Boyzone and Steps and all of that.
Steps,
but,
gosh.
yeah, I know, Steps. Do you know what? I met Lisa. I did some work for her in Dubai, like in her performing arts school now. So it was really weird because I was like, you know, I used to like absolutely idolise you in the 90s.
And now working with you.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. Anyway, so I moved on into soul very early in my life, and I always had that, you know, inspiration from singers like Whitney, Mariah and Aretha Franklin and all these big diva singers, and that's kind of, you know, what I kind of grew into. I grew into this big, like, not big singer, but like a big voice.
Absolutely.
You know, as you know, I'm really loud, and so yeah.
And you know, when you look at those singers or looked at them back then, did you ever picture that you would one day be as big as them? Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big as them now, but but I mean, I do. From a young age, I have always had this vision of being on stage, you know, picking up a Brit Award or maybe a Grammy or something like that. Right. But yeah, I mean, I've still got that vision. I'm still going for it. Yeah. And I think I can do it.
Yeah. I love it.
It's still there, the vision. I haven't given up yet. I'm not giving up.
And who are some of the music greats you've met?
Well, Tom Jones. I met Tom Jones a couple of times, but I scared the living daylights out of him, so I don't think he's talking to me anymore. Poor guy. But no, he's fine. He lives upstairs. But
Yeah, Charlie was telling me earlier, actually.
It's not unusual.
I tell you who I've met recently. I did a show for the BBC Awards for Variety Children's
Yes,
Charity.
I saw that, actually. I saw that.
And I actually fell in love with Beverly. I've always liked Beverly Knight, but I fell in love with her because, well, first of all, I heard her sound check and it just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then I actually had the opportunity to meet her, and what a lovely lady she is. And she's super talented, and you know, she's inspired me in her way. And,
Yeah.
and you know, if I can remember anybody from that night, it would be her.
Yeah.
So, and she's a soul singer. She's got a big voice, like gospel background and inspiration. So, I think that's why we get on so well. So,
Absolutely. And how do you keep yourself inspired then?
I listen to a lot of music, and I mean, you've seen the
Yes.
apartment, you've seen the jukebox, you've seen the
It's an
vinyl
amazing
player.
apartment. Amazing apartment.
I'm easy to buy for. So,
Piano.
you know, we've got lots
you
of
play?
musical. I can play. Yeah, I mean, I'm not out on John or Mozart, but I do write songs with the piano, and
amazing.
I know my way around it, and sometimes I like to show off after a few wines. But
Is that inspired by the wine then?
no, it's like, I mean, you've seen it. It's beautiful, right? You know, I have to go and sit there at least a couple of times a day.
Yeah. So, you know, your son, he's a CEO.
Yeah.
So how did you decide that it was him that you wanted to give the position to?
Well, because, you know, he's been there that many years. It's like a, you know, younger version of me.
Oh, wow.
You know what
okay.
I mean? And, yeah, he's just, you know, he's just, it's like, you know, if I'm being honest, I think he ran the business better than me in the end. You know,
Wow.
he was sharper, and
I think that's how it's supposed to be, though, right? He's picked up
Yeah.
from you, you know, all
Yeah.
your best qualities, and then he's just added his...
that's it. And
own.
yeah, I mean, you know, he was, you know, he'd run things past me, and I'd say to him, well, you've already made your own mind up.
Okay.
And he goes, oh, I know what you would do.
What you do, yeah.
Yeah, just get rid of him. You know, no, but that's it. You know, no, you know, look,
No, I love that.
a business is about the people that work for it.
Absolutely.
And you know, your business is as good as the people that work for you.
Absolutely.
And you know, do you know the best time to get rid of somebody?
What's that?
When you first think about it. You know, when
Okay.
it first comes to your mind that
Yeah,
they're playing up,
yeah.
that,
To
you
be
know, they're
fair,
coming in
yeah.
drunk, or they're like, you know, whatever.
To be fair, and then you just want to give them a second chance or a third chance.
Yeah, and
but
it
then-
goes on and on.
Yeah.
And look,
Yeah.
you know, if you take 10
Waste
people,
time.
maybe if you give 2 or 3 a second chance, it may work. But majority of people, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, you know, and once you learn that, you know, it sounds being ruthless, but it's not. That's what business is
That's
about.
what business is about,
and,
yeah.
you know, same with Rachel in her
Raquel.
business. Raquel.
what we
I
all
call her
know.
Rachel, I call her Rara nicknames, but real name is, singing name is Raquel. You know, Raquel's learned that again from me. I think that, you know, when we got together, and you know, some of the, you know, I don't know nothing about singing, but I do know how to run a business, and you know, it's about the people that's around you, and you know, I notice now Rara has a team. I call her Rara now, as a team of about 20 people around her. And she sift through different people that you have to bypass them and get rid of them. And, you know, I think to be successful, you've got to have that. You don't have to be ruthless,
Yes.
but you need to be, you know, assertive. You need to be, you know, confident with things, and you need to take chances. And I think that's, you know, what Raquel has done now. Over the years that we hadn't known each other that long, but we knew each other for a year before we got together, and you know, I was just giving her business advice and saying this is what I would do. I know nothing about singing, I have to say that, but you know,
But like you said, you know business.
eh?
Like you said, you know business.
Yeah, and I think that's helped a lot. And now I see Raquel saying, oh, I'm thinking I'm going to, you know, change that person. And I said, that's brilliant. You know what I mean? I don't even know the person, but I say it's a good idea because, you know, it's on your mind kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to go through certain people to get the right people.
You've got to find other ones of you as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, exactly. And you've got to be happy with the team you got, and you know, you've got to be drinking from the same teapot, is what I always say.
Yeah.
Same vision. And
You know, I notice a lot of things that I would do that Raquel's doing, and a lot of things she does I would do, and we've both got the same attitude. You want to get to the top.
That's important,
And there's only one way to do it, is just keep going, never give in. But you've also got to provide a quality service. So
Yes.
in your case, it's a quality service of singing and performing. In my case, it was quality service of, you know, all the building services.
Right.
But there's a big connection. And, you know, in the year that I think we got engaged about a year ago now, or 15 months ago. And, but up until, you know, 8 or 9
not
months.
even been a year, love. We got engaged in May last year.
Yeah, so I think I meant to say we've been together about 15 months.
Yeah.
I think I meant that. But prior to that, I was getting my women mixed up now.
No, you weren't.
But 8 or 9 months prior to that, I was just, you know, we was just bouncing ideas off of each other. And, you know, Raquel has changed so much in that time. You know, she's singing at the, you know, Shooting Star Hospice, you know, in front of Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
And then a year later, she's singing in front of Shooting Star Ball.
Yeah.
She's singing in front of Simon Cowell again, the BBC anniversary, 100 years. And he come up to us, and, you know, we quite get on well with him now. And he said that, you know, in 12 months, you've really come on amazingly.
Yeah.
And Raquel always had that talent. And I think it was just a case of being able to show it and express it. Yeah. And, you know, I noticed on some of the conversation, I think she plays herself down a lot, you know, on that. But BBC Awards, on the bill was Beverly Knight, yeah. What's the opera singer? The Welsh girl?
Catherine Jenkins.
Catherine Jenkins. Yeah. The geezer from Take That, what's he called?
Gary Barlow.
Beverly Knight and Raquel Reno. Yeah. I mean, what a bill to get on. And
absolutely.
And,
it's quite a lineup.
She's been singing for, I don't know, 25 years or 26 years. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's going well for her. And within that 12 months, her manager now is Hilary Shaw, ex-Girls Aloud manager. Yeah. Nashville wrote an album. She's writing songs with Amy Winehouse, sort of co-writers. It's not a case of if Ra was going to be or Raquel's going to be get a hit. It's just a case of when.
Yes.
And you know, a couple of songs that, you know, I listen to it quite a lot, and you know, she's got a great team around her, and you've got to have a great team. It's just like a business. It's running a business, and you know, it's just a matter of time before the reward comes.
Yeah.
And that's that's how you run business. Yes. Not only do we, you know, not only we are together, which is wonderful. You know, the fact that we just both think alike. We're both, look, there's winners and losers out there, and undoubtedly we're both winners.
Love that. This is real relationship goals. This is real relationship goals. You have so much amazing business advice. Do you invest in businesses? Do you invest in small businesses, startups, things like that? Is that something you've ever done or considered? No,
I've considered it. Right. But when I had Pimlico Plumbers, I used to get lots of offers, and I still do. Right. And my take was, you know, I might as well invest in my own business, Pimlico. I mean, a jockey don't change a winning horse, you know what I mean? So I was on a winner. I knew I was on a winner. Right. So I used to put everything back into that. I get lots of people now come on to me about come into this and come into that. But no, I don't. Is the answer. You know, I'm still doing property now in Spain, but I like to keep it to myself or within my family, because I just feel that you know, I don't know about stocks and shares, and I don't know about many businesses, but I do know, you know, about sort of the sort of building business and housing business. So that's what I'm sticking to, basically. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Raquel, Charlie. This was a fantastic interview. Can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been lovely.
Very good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lovely.
That was good.